Beguiled. The anonymous letters first appeared in the newspaper on February the 1st, and caused such a stir she hid at home for a week. No one doubted they were written for her. How many Lady T's of Shropshire were there, after all? The latest letter, featured in the Valentine's edition, was the most scandalous. To the bewitching Lady T of Shropshire, thine eyes be green and thine hair red. Please accept me so we may wed. I loved you at first sight and hope you don't take fright when you lay your precious eyes on me. Tonight, at last light, together we'll be. The ball began at dusk. Her dance card filled before she'd reached the receiving line to greet her hostess. The eager faces of bachelors all claimed with their waggling eyebrows to be her secret admirer. Would he make himself known tonight? Would she run in fright? Though no one spoke to her, all eyes found her from behind fans and hands. Between the twirls and promenades of each dance, she scanned the crowd for clues. Whispers followed her, taunting her with tales of clandestine romance. And then she saw him. A shadowed figure watched her from behind a potted plant. Her pulse raced, a roar in her ears masking the voices around her. Their eyes met, and her world tilted. Hazel eyes peered at her from beneath heavy lids framed with dark eyelashes. Those eyes seemed to read her soul. Never had she believed in love at first sight, until now. He took a step towards her. She stepped towards him. A din of voices resounded around her, crescendoing when he took another step, and then a clink of glass, drawing the attention of all in the room. "But a moment, please, but a moment. I have an announcement," voiced the hostess. "It is a propitious Valentine's ball indeed, for I have the pleasure of announcing the betrothal of my eldest daughter to Lord Keyes." Her eyes never left his, though he took 5 more steps forward. She counted. How many more until he reached her? He stopped, her breath caught. He wasn't walking towards her, but rather to the centre of the ballroom. A young miss, affecting well-practised ennui, took his arm. How could this be? He was the betrothed Lord Keyes. No, she'd only just discovered him. She'd only just found love. Oblivious to the girl on his arm, he continued to stare at her, his eyes ablaze. Before she made a cake of herself, she tore her gaze from his and escaped by way of the terrace doors. Grasping the railing outside, she filled her lungs with air, staring at the sun setting behind a copse of trees. Footsteps sounded behind her, a gossiping matron or a vapid girl to tease her. A rumble intoned, "Elope with me?" She whipped round to come face to face with Lord Keyes. They stood but an arm's reach from each other. "I don't know you," she whispered. "Yes, you do. You knew me at first sight, just as I knew you." His cologne enveloped her, enticing her to move closer. "Come away with me." "But what of your betrothed?" "Inconsequential. I want you, only you. Come with me, Gretna Green awaits." He held out his hand. "Will you be my Valentine bride?" Her family's disapproving faces flashed before her eyes. "Yes." She slipped her hand into his. They fled the terrace, darting hand in hand across the park to the Circle Drive. Swift words to a curious coachman, and a bump and jostle later, they were on the road, bound for Scotland. Her stranger pulled her against his chest, his arms wrapping around her shoulders to shield her from doubt. He kissed her deeply, soulfully, conveying to her all the words they had not yet said, affirming his heart mirrored what hers did for him. At length, she leaned away, smiling, memorizing his face, reaching a hand to trace the scar that ran from his left ear to his chin. "I've loved you since the second letter," she confessed. A crease deepened between his brows. "Letter? What letter?" She laughed at his coyness and kissed him brazenly. until it dawned he hadn't returned the laugh. The carriage continued to Scotland, his question echoing in her mind.